And welcome to another edition of Sponsorship Unpacked. Always love our chats about all things sponsorship.
Pretty good, Andy. We're back again for another week and yeah, ready to get into it.
100%. So I've been writing down a lot. So I'll probably have 4 or 5 conversations a day, if not more, maybe up to 6, with prospective clients or new clients coming on board or whatever it is. And so I'm always trying to make sure that we're looking at and recording down some of the big challenges that people are facing because I love to be able to solve them. But just a question, maybe not a massive challenge, but a question that keeps coming up day after day is around, for community clubs in particular, when is the best time for us to be in market looking to connect with new sponsors? So I've come up with 3 things that I feel from a results perspective hit the nail on the head. And I think this works. But obviously we speak, as I said, 3 or 4, 5, 6 a day, and we've got hundreds of pieces of anecdotal data sitting behind this. But the 3 times that I feel are the best, probably in order, for a community club, goes something like this. So the best time to be in market looking to connect with new sponsors is when the sport is highly visible in the marketplace. Okay, so that could be in the middle of a season. So soccer, for example, who sometimes tell us that they're challenged by AFL clubs, etc. So I feel like the best time for them or anyone to be in market is when it's during the season. So it could be looking for sponsors in Australia in June for a winter sport, and then looking to engage them through the back end of the season into the finals. So, you're obviously speaking to somebody, bringing them along to finals, those sort of things. The next, with the same thing being visible on the market, it could be a World Cup, or it could be that the international team is playing or something like that. So, where the sport is very visible, basically, either at a high level in the media or on the ground in local communities. So that's one. Do we agree with that, or is that something that's
No, I like it. I like it because yeah, it's really sponsorship is kind of an emotional game in that you're trying to get an emotional connection between the sponsor and the community and the sport that you are. So yeah, things like a World Cup, it could be no better time, but also just general results. People are seeing, a cricket match down the corner or soccer or netball. Yeah, it's certainly easier when it's front and center versus oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah, I remember that they're on and there's sort of no emotion or no sort of front of mind thinking there. So I like where you're going.
all right? So that's point number one. We're in agreement there. So see if you agree with this next point. So the next point is I always feel like it is best to be in the marketplace as far away from the start of the season as possible. So let's just get run with a winter sport again. And I know there are some challenges in this because a lot of people, especially at community level, will speak to us and say, "Hey, we've still got to go through an AGM. We've got to know who the president is. We need to know what the budget is, all those sort of things." However, as far away from the start of the season but out of season as possible is a second point that I would say. So if you're, again, we're talking about the Australian marketplace for the moment, but if you're, or it could be anywhere, if you're starting in March or April, and you've come out of a season, say August, September, early October, then really when you want to be in the market is October, November. And the reason being is sometimes it does take a long time to connect with people. So by the time you speak to somebody who might be a lead, whether that's through us or you're finding your own leads, it takes time to be able to get them engaged. And you want to be speaking to people as far away as possible so they can prepare. If you drop it on them last minute, then it's extremely difficult to guarantee that someone's going to invest. So you want to give them time to prepare, and then also obviously time to negotiate and work through a deal with somebody. So, point number two, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, it's sponsorship and those conversations, they're hard and they can certainly take some time. So I know I've certainly had discussions with clubs where, they're in a bit of a rush and, it's a front of mind and they know within the next month or two that they need to secure a logo on a jersey or a uniform. And it's just all a bit squashed. And those last minute activities, I haven't always seen them play out too well, to be honest. They can. We can be fortunate sometimes, but yeah, the more time you have to prepare, have those conversations, and yeah, lock someone in, certainly the better.
Great. We're in agreement, which is good. And we normally are.
I'm waiting to disagree with you,
I
actually.
know. So point number three, and this is where a lot of community clubs I feel like find themselves. So I would say well, the number three time, or the third, or the last time that you want to be in market is immediately before the season. Now, I would say don't not do it, but a well planned, well prepared sponsorship campaign needs to be looking, at a full year cycle of when you're going to be in the market looking for new sponsors, not rushing to do it at the last minute. So, maybe not even going to frame it at a time before a season, but it's because sometimes last minute can be when you've got a jersey that needs to be printed by mid-December and with a new sponsor on it or whatever it is, and you're in the market 4 weeks beforehand. It's very difficult to go and land a big sponsor in 4 weeks. It can happen. But I would always say the last time you want to be in the market is last minute because, firstly, you don't want to be seen to be doing that last minute because you look disorganized. Unless someone's pulled out, that happens. But last minute, it's no way to run a campaign. You can do it. I would definitely get out of the cycle and the habit of doing it last minute, though.
Yeah, so if you go into it eyes wide open, knowing that it's a kind of last ditch effort, and you're trying for that one in 100 sort of opportunity, no problems. But maybe here's a controversial point for you, perhaps. If you're not quite up for that, last minute risk and gamble, it might even be worth just delaying slightly to get into the season, which then gives you the benefit of, certainly back to the start of your point, when it's most visible. But the other thing is, it also, for me, depends on where you are at a club. So recently we started a campaign for a netball club that we're aware of, and they're sort of where they were at from a sponsorship perspective. Really, they did not have anything. They were sort of starting the journey, so they needed to build up the assets, build up the understanding of how and when, and how to look after your sponsors, etc. And so we actually did it for them mid-season, and looking to bring on some sponsors. They might get some benefit to the end of that season, but it sets them up beautifully for the next season. So it does depend on where you're at. And yeah, if you're happy to go, get started, get your learnings underway, and get your foundation set, yeah, it doesn't matter that you're doing it mid-season.
Love it. Love it. Any last minute tips,
No,
Glenn,
well,
in market daily?
I,
Um, Anything we
maybe
missed?
my question back to you is, out of all that, my summary is actually there probably isn't there isn't a bad time to start. So let me ask for the final question. When wouldn't you start? When's the worst time that we would turn around and say, no, reconsider?
Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Christmas Day. Don't start Christmas Day. Look, I agree. There is no bad time to be out looking for and connecting with people because it needs to be a year-round pursuit. If you're going to treat this like a business, and it needs to be treated like a business, there's no question about that. The days of community sport being a volunteer-led afterthought that's gone. And even the smallest community clubs need to be thinking more like a business. So in that respect, there is no bad time. It's what's optimum. So what is the best time to be in the market? And I think we've gone through it today. When it's most visible in the marketplace is optimum. When it's as far away from the season but out of the last season as possible is probably number two. And then realistically, you want to be, if you're going to be doing it last minute, fine. That's what needs to be done sometimes just to get people over the line. And it's not a bad time. It's just not optimum. But if you plan it properly, Glenn, I feel like you can get your cycle right. And it does take a year or so to get your cycle right. But I think if you're in the market throughout those probably key periods, then you're sort of heading in the right direction with running a good sponsorship campaign throughout the year and running your business.
good stuff, and I'm glad we've got Christmas Day off. Otherwise we're here and
Not for
ready
you. Not for
to.
you.
Nice. All right, sounds good.
Good work, Glenn. Thanks, mate.